Enthusiasm is the fuel for an enriched life. Without inspiration, the deities are stone idols. With inspiration, we see God in them. Without inspiration, a bhajan is a mere song. With inspiration, we are oozing with devotional sentiments. With enthusiasm, everything is full of meaning. Without enthusiasm, life is insipid. It is a science worthy of learning. It has been analyzed. Why do employees get demotivated? Somebody was wrongly criticized. Now he says, look, I was wrongly criticized. Now I am demotivated. However, in the same situation, another person is wrongly criticized. He says, I will prove my worth. He uses it as a means for motivation. Somebody is unjustly promoted. Now you feel I am demotivated. The other says, this was not fair. I will work even harder. In the same situation, one person is getting motivated. The other person is getting demotivated. So what then motivates and what demotivates? What is this science? We discussed that mindset or attitude is the emotions that we harbor in our mind. This is an internal resource. You don't need anything from the outside, just change your thinking and reap the benefits of it. The first mindset for success is positivity. Be positive, see the positive side of things. And how will we be positive? When we decide that my desires are not paramount, this universe is not for my desires, I am for the universe. This brought us to the second mindset. Supposing we are negative, now what to do? So the second mindset was to take responsibility. I am negative not because of someone, somebody, some action, some event. Responsibility means the ability to respond as you wish. No matter what the external environment, I can choose to be positive. Now this brings us to the third mindset. If we are positive, is this enough for success? No. A third ingredient is required, and this is inspiration or motivation. What is motivation? Motive for action. The motive for action, the enthusiasm that you bring to any action you do, or any emotions you harbor, or any relationship you have with people or objects, or in your devotion, that enthusiasm is the fuel of life. If you are enthusiastic, you will be powered to success. And if you are unenthusiastic, a little difficulty will be the end of the effort. So enthusiasm makes us stand out. Consider this example. One youngster, teenager, in his summer break, he decided to get a summer job to earn some pocket money for himself. He went through the advertisements on the yellow pages, etc., and he discovered an ideal job in storefront shop. And he applied for it. He was called for the interview at 9 o'clock in the morning on one day. When he reached there, he discovered that there were 20 more children also sitting for the interview. Now he realized he was the 21st kid in the line and his chances of getting selected were very dim. But he had the fuel of enthusiasm burning inside him. He said, I have to do something, I need this job. So what did he do? He wrote a little note and gave it to the clerk sitting in that room. He said, ma'am, please give it to the boss. The lady said, Sonny, when your chance comes, you can give it to him. However, he had a sense of urgency in his voice. He said, madam, this is really important. He needs to see it right now. So, since she was experienced, she realized there was something different about the way he was speaking. She took the note and gave it to the boss. When the boss read it, a smile appeared on his face. The child had said, Sir, I have applied for the job, but I am the 21st kid in the line. Decide nothing until you see me. What is speaking out is his enthusiasm. This inspiration is what brings specialty, excellence to anything we do. Without inspiration, the deities are stone idols. With inspiration, we see God in them. Without inspiration, a bhajan is a mere song. With inspiration, we are oozing with devotional sentiments. So it is always the inspiration that brings the cutting edge that makes all the difference in life. You know, when the 100 meters race is run, the person who gets the gold medal in the Olympics, very often he beats the silver medalist by 0.01 second. That's such a tiny difference to distinguish between the silver medalist and the gold medalist. But that is how life is. A little extra cutting edge to your efforts can make the difference between excellence and mediocrity. What is mediocrity? Average. Some people are happy to be average students, some of them are happy to be average in class. But average is never good enough for success, because average means the best amongst the worst, or the worst amongst the best. Either way, it's not good enough. So that fuel that inspires us to greatness is inspiration. And that also carries us across difficulties that are a natural part of the journey of life. If you are inspired, you will cut through difficulties like a knife cut through melted butter. And if you are not inspired, a little difficulty will seem like a mountain. Take the example of Mr. Soichiro Honda. He was the founder of the huge Honda empire. Around the world, it employs many 100,000 people. So he started with very humble beginnings. When he was an engineering student, he got this idea that he can make better piston rings. So he created a new design for piston rings and took his prototype to the Toyota Corporation, which was the big automobile company. His design got rejected, because of which he became a laughing stock amongst his classmates. You were trying to sell a new design to Toyota. But his inspiration said, I can do it. Never mind if I failed once, so what? He went back to the drawing board, and this time he came up with the design that got selected. The Toyota Corporation placed an order for so many 100,000 piston rings, and they extended the capital to him to make his factory. Unfortunately, when his factory got created, it was leveled out by an earthquake. But his enthusiasm said, never mind, this is not the end of the story. He built his factory up again. And when it was ready to start functioning, as luck would have it, Japan entered into the Second World War. And it started getting bombed by American bombers. Unfortunately, his factory got bombed. Nevertheless, his never say die spirit, he said that we will build it up again. Now at this time, cement had become in short supply because of Japan's war efforts, and there was no cement to build his factory. So he found a new way of making cement, and the gasoline cans that were thrown by the bombers, in those days there were different kinds of bombers, so they would throw the gasoline tanks. He would start using those to make his factory, and he called them gifts from Mr. Truman. Finally, his factory was completed yet again, but the war stopped and Japan had lost. Now, there was such a shortage of fuel in Japan that people didn't have fuel for their cars. He didn't have fuel for his own car. Where is the question of selling piston rings to the Toyota Corporation? He was slightly dejected. Driving his bicycle, he got an idea. He fitted a motor to his bicycle and made the first motorcycle. That caught the fancy of his neighbors, and they placed little orders to him to fit motors to their bicycles as well. When he fitted 300 motors to bicycles in the neighborhood, he decided that he has a winning proposition here. But he didn't have the capital to establish a motorcycle factory. So he got the list of all the motorcycle dealers in Japan, which was 8,000, and he handwrote letters to 5,000 of them. 1,800 responded, extending the capital he had requested, and he made his factory yet again, for motorcycles this time. But the first one that he made, the first prototype, was huge, and it was an immediate failure. But he said, never mind, I will try yet again. And the next one he made was a smaller prototype. He called it the Super Cub. It succeeded, and after that he never looked back. So what was it that was carrying him through all these difficulties? It was that essential ingredient called enthusiasm. If you are enthusiastic, you have the never say die spirit. See, the people who succeed also failed. They failed 4 times, but they did not give up. And the 5th time they succeeded. And the people who failed were the ones who gave up on the first failure or the second failure or the third failure or the 4th failure. So, somebody said that you may lose everything in life except your enthusiasm. and you will gain it all back. But if you have lost your enthusiasm, you have lost everything. That is why Henry David Thoreau said that nobody is as old as that man who has outlived enthusiasm. So, enthusiasm or inspiration helps you surmount obstacles that are natural in the journey of life. And enthusiasm also helps bring focus. When you are enthusiastic, you apply all your mind and intellectual faculties on the work at hand. Without enthusiasm, there are a million distractions. So in every way, this inspiration is such a vital virtue to possess in life. How does this inspiration come about? Is it in the genes? Some people by their genes are enthusiastic. Is it some hereditary quality? Not really. Each of us can go through a whole spectrum of enthusiastic or insipid dispositions. One person's enthusiasm can change based on the situation. One man was a factory worker. He had the evening shift from 4 to 12. At 4, he would go walking to the factory, which was about 3 miles away. It would take him almost an hour. And at midnight, when the shift got over, he would walk back. Now again, by the time he reached home, it would be 1 a.m. There was a graveyard on the way between his house and the factory. One day he decided to take a shortcut. He walked through the graveyard. It saved him all of 25 minutes. And nothing untoward happened, although he walked through graveyard. No ghost came to scare him, and no spirits embraced him, and all the superstitions that he had heard. It was all right, no risk. So he decided to do it every day. And every day he was saving 25 minutes as he was walking from his factory to his house via the graveyard. It became a habit for him. One day, unknown to him, a new grave had been dug on the path itself. It was half dug. The pit was there, 7 feet deep. Now at night, when he got out of his office to walk, it was a moonless night and also starless because of the clouds. Nevertheless, he had become familiar with his path, so he was casually walking, relishing the night breeze, and all of a sudden, plop, he fell right into the grave. 7 feet deep pit. He tried to claw his way out, but found it very difficult because the height was so much and he didn't have the strength in his arms. So he decided, all right, let me relax here. Nothing is going to happen. No ghost is going to scare me. So he sat down on the other side of the grave. About 20 minutes went by. A drunkard was walking along the same path. Now, whatever else drinks do, they obviously destroy the intellect. And apart from that, the darkness of the environment on that night. So the drunkard's chance of discovering the new grave was close to zero. He was walking, and all of a sudden, dham! The drunkard came to his senses and he realized that he had fallen into this grave. He was trying to scramble out, but he was also not succeeding. And this man sitting on the other side of the grave was looking at the drunkard trying to get out, realizing it's an exercise in futility. So he came back. Now the drunkard doesn't know there's anybody else in the graveyard, particularly in this grave. He thinks I'm the only one I'm trying to get out. And all of a sudden this man came from the back. His intention was not to scare him but to help him. He patted him on the back. My dear friend, it is no use, you cannot get out. When this drunkard heard, I cannot get out, somebody is threatening me, he put in his extra effort. Suddenly he became so motivated, he jumped out. You see, he found some motivation inside him to do the impossible. So it's not that somebody is always demotivated. Now some parents complain, Swamiji, my children don't have motivation. How do you say that? Look, I always tell them that you should study for so many hours, they are not motivated. Right? But when the football game starts, then see how motivated they are. So, factory manager says that my workers are not motivated. But see how enthusiastically they leave the factory on Friday evenings. They are highly motivated. So it's a question of striking the right enthusiasm chords within us. In other words, motivation is an art. And to ignite this inspiration in someone is one of the best things you can do to them. One person, one of our devotees was telling me, Swamiji, my worker subordinate is not performing well. So I am thinking of dismissing him, firing him out. I said, before you fire him out, try firing him up. Motivate him and see what happens. He did that and he found the whole behavior changed. So when there is this scope of motivating ourselves and even motivating others, then it is a science worthy of learning and a science worthy of practicing, implementing and cultivating for our own benefit, for success in this life and beyond. What then is the science of motivating? How do you get motivated? See, there are various factors that cause motivation and demotivation. Like for example, if you're working in an organization, it has been analyzed. Why do employees get demotivated? Somebody was wrongly criticized. Now he says, look, I was wrongly criticized, now I am demotivated. However, in the same situation, another person is wrongly criticized. He says, I will prove my worth. He uses it as a means for motivation. Somebody is unjustly promoted, now you feel I am demotivated. The other says, this was not fair, I will work even harder. In the same situation, one person is getting motivated, the other person is getting demotivated. Some people say if you fail, that becomes a demotivator. And there are so many people who take failure as a challenge and they become motivated by failure. Now think about it. In the same situation, one person is getting uninspired and the other is getting inspired. What then is the secret of inspiration? So when I was researching for this topic, I said, may as well ask Mr. Google. Mr. Google did not know the answer of this. Because he comes up with such solutions. You stop seeing the TV, you'll get motivated. You do yoga and you'll get motivated. And stop taking tea, you will get motivated. That is not the solution. There are two kinds of motivation. One is external motivation, and the other is internal motivation. What is external motivation? You need something from the outside to motivate you. Your boss praised you. Look, he has given me a commendation. Now I am motivated. This is external motivation. And what is internal motivation? The source of your inspiration is internal. You bring the right thoughts, the right emotions, the right knowledge and motivate yourself. Do you see the distinction? To be externally motivated, to be internally motivated. Externally motivated means the key of your energy level is in the hands of others. Because if your boss is the source of your motivation, then the boss will also become the source of your demotivation. Next time he scolds you and censures you, you'll say, my boss scolded me. I have no interest left. So to be externally motivated is immature. When we were little children, we were externally motivated. But as you grow up, you are expected to mature emotionally. To mature emotionally means that you develop your own inner fuel of inspiration. In other words, you shift focus to become internally motivated. If you are internally motivated, nothing will dampen your spirits. Just like some people, they need good weather to come into a good mood. And some people believe that they carry their weather themselves. It's irrespective. It doesn't matter. That is the internal motivation. We need to find out how to tap into that kind of inspirational energy. So how do you tap into it? One obvious answer is to get a strong reason to do something. If you have a strong reason, you will become inspired. One salesman, he went to Nevada in the countryside to sell something, and he rested at night in a wayside inn. Next morning when he got up, he found that the roads were all snow-laden. Everything was white. He asked the innkeeper, I am a salesman and I sell my goods. Do you think the environment is good enough to go out and sell things? The innkeeper said, Sir, that depends on whether as a salesman you are working on salary or on commission. If you are working on salary, you are going to get it in any case, whether you go or you don't go. Then the weather is very difficult. You should not go. But if you are working on commission, you have a strong reason, a strong why to go and get your commission. You will find the weather is all right, you can go. So this big why, big reason then becomes the source of inspiration. One long distance runner from Kenya called Bernard Kiplagat, he was asked by reporters that how is it that Kenya produces so many amazing long distance runners? So Kiplagat's answer was that, in Kenya, on the road, after every little while we have got boards. Like out in USA, you've got the boards about the deer crossing. So we've got boards, beware of lions. That makes us run very fast. We have a big reason to run. That means that if you wish to motivate and fuel yourself in life, you have to give a big reason for this. What is the reason? So now we seem to have a better grip over the signs of inspiration. You try and get internally inspired, not externally. And to be internally inspired, find a strong reason.